Be driven so that you're not a gold digger, but don't brag about it because men don't like it when you're better than them. Be beautiful so that every single man will want to be with you, but you must not know how beautiful you are because then you are vain. Be down for anything in the bedroom because men like it when you're adventurous, but of course, you must not have a body count of more than 0 because then you are a whore. Hi my loves, welcome back to the Brain and Beauty Club. I'm Kelly and on here we bring nuance back to womanhood. Today I want to talk about the 7 words that have been living in my head rent-free ever since I've heard them. To be a woman is to perform. We're going to unpack what that really means. We'll be diving into the historical consequences of not being picked and how that has shaped us to this day. And finally, how we can grieve and heal from it. But before we get into it, I need you to hit the like and subscribe button so that more people can join our conversation. Now that's out of the way, let's get into it. Let's be honest, have you ever thought that you're not like other girls? You're deep. You're not like other girls. You're into art. You're not like other girls. You're whimsical and airy. And even when you're a girl's girl, you're still not like other girls. Just like many women, I thought to be a girl, to be a woman is to be admired. Admired for our beauty, admired for our whimsical personality, admired for our femininity, and of course, our sexuality. Think dancing in the rain, running through a flower field, talking to a bird because I'm just a girl. And of course, a freak in the sheet because we can never be vanilla. Like, God forbid, that's boring. We don't want that. We spend so much time thinking about how other people see us, how men see us. We all want to be chosen. We all want to be special. And whether you like it or not, we're all pick-me's to some degree, even if you think you're above it. You don't have to be chill and laugh at misogynistic jokes to be a pick-me. You can be deep, thoughtful, artsy, not care to be picked, look down on pick-me, and still be a pick-me. Just a more sophisticated, understated version. We are all some form of pick-me's because it's only natural to want to be desired, right? We don't even question how much of ourself is performed because the whole culture is organized around being picked. But why is that? Before we had access to education, basic human rights, right to vote, right to have our own bank accounts, right to own properties, all the rights that anti-feminists and all these tradwives influencers say don't matter. Being picked by a man was the single most important thing that we could do as a woman to survive. If you were unmarried, you would stay with your family for as long as possible. You would be seen as a burden or get sent to a convent. You would most likely struggle to find means for financial security, and you'd be ostracized by society, labeled as an old maid or a spinster. So yeah, not being picked back then was kind of bad. And that pressure doesn't just disappear within 2 or 3 generations of relative female autonomy. It gets absorbed into our culture, into how mothers raise their daughters, into stories and literature. So it gets internalized so much that it doesn't even feel like a survival strategy anymore. It kind of just feels like who we are. But honestly, being picked back then wasn't even that much better than being unmarried, because let me introduce you to coverture. And here's a very interesting definition of it by Collins Dictionary. It defines coverture as the condition or status of a married woman considered as being under the protection and influence of her husband. Doesn't this sound strangely familiar? Submit to your husband. He is the protector and provider of the family. He's the head of the household. Yeah. All these tradwife influencers and politicians are working overtime to try and sell us coverture 2.0. Under coverture, married women had no rights to their own bodies, nor could they own anything. So a husband had a claim to all of the wages that his wife's labor generated and all the children that she bared. And not only that, he also had the absolute right to sexual access. Within a marriage, a wife's consent was implied, which means that all sexual activities, including rape, was legitimized. So yeah, women have fought so hard to get rid of this nonsense, only for us to bring it back 100 years later as an aesthetic lifestyle. Like, honestly, you can't even make this up. Anyway, let's fast forward to the 2000s where we have the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. The term Manic Pixie Dream Girl was first coined in 2007 by film critic Nathan Rabin. He described it as a fantasy figure who exists solely in the fevered imaginations of sensitive writers, directors to teach brutally soulful young men to embrace life and its infinite mysteries and adventures. Think Summer in 500 Days of Summer, Giselle in Enchanted, and of course, Claire in Elizabethtown. The problem with the Manic Pixie Dream Girl isn't just that guys don't see us as people with depth, with thoughts, with autonomy, with agency, with a life that doesn't involve serving them in some way, but we see ourselves in that way too. We grow up watching movies that showed us to be a special woman is to be someone's muse, is to be joyful, cute, clumsy, adventurous, smart, beautiful, everything that you can possibly imagine, so that we can be romanticized and idealized, so that hopefully we will be picked by some ordinary average man, or worse, a below bare minimum low effort man, giving them meaning in life and thus giving us meaning in life. So yeah, it's kind of grim and sad when you realize that to be a woman is to perform. I saw a post a while ago of a man asking women on the internet what it feels like for us to have sex, and one of the top comments was,
"It's a full-time acting career."
Yeah. Throughout my early 20s, I tried so hard to be that girl, or rather, not like other girls, so that I could be seen, so that I could feel special. Little did I know that I was just following the script of how to perform as a woman and mistaking it as being special. Now that I'm in my 30s, I finally understand why they try so hard to fearmonger us with messages like, you're expired once you hit 30, no one's gonna want you, and you're going to die alone with your cats. Because the truth is, you start to wake up when you're in your 30s. You start to realize that we don't just exist to be palatable. You realize that we have been conditioned to be agreeable, to serve men and to please men. Be driven so that you're not a gold digger, but don't brag about it because men don't like it when you're better than them. Be beautiful so that every single man will want to be with you, but you must not know how beautiful you are because then you are vain. Be down for anything in the bedroom because men like it when you're adventurous, but of course, you must not have a body count of more than 0 because then you are a whore. Now that we realize we have all been conditioned to perform as women, how do we move forwards? I want to be clear that this isn't an anti-men video. I'm not saying that wanting to be desired is inherently bad, or that we should just forget about love and just go and live alone in peace. I mean, if that's what you truly want, then of course, go ahead. But for all the lover girls that want to find love, I promise you there are men out there who will see you for who you are, for all of you, not just a fantasy version of you that exists purely to serve his needs. But it starts with you seeing yourself that way. It starts with you seeing yourself as your own person, that your existence is for yourself, not to please some man and be picked. Wanting to be desired isn't necessarily a bad thing because we are human beings after all, and we are relational creatures. Of course, we all want to be chosen and to be seen. But the problem is when that longing to be desired becomes your complete identity, when you start shaping and editing yourself around what will get you picked instead of just being your true self. You can be feminine, quirky, cute, clumsy, funny, whimsical, full of life. You can be all of these things without the need of a man witnessing them for them to be valid. You don't have to be not like other girls. We can all just be like other girls. That's all I have for you today. Remember, softness isn't about shrinking. You can be delicate in your presence and powerful in your mind. I will see you here next Wednesday. Bye.